Veterans, have you heard the non-VA term poking the bear? In today's video, I'm going to discuss that non-VA term poking the bear. Also, I'm going to explain times that I saw veterans poke the bear and win. And lastly, I am going to debunk a huge YouTube myth as it pertains to poking that VA bear. Make sure you stick around. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, United States Army veteran, retired VA rating specialist, and your VA claim nugget man. Please do me a favor before I get into today's video. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and notification button so you can get notified when I upload a video or go live. Also, don't forget to pick up my new book, The VA Compensation Blueprint. It's time to win. Yes, veterans, if you're tired of losing, get the book and start winning. Level that playing field. All right. So today's topic, the non-VA term poking the bear. What is it? Veterans say if you are 100% permanent total, not to file a claim. That's poking the bear. Now, me, if you want to file a claim, you're 100% permanent total, go ahead. Just know what you're doing. All right. So I don't say don't or do, but if you decide to, make sure you know exactly what you're doing when you do that. Okay. So I'm going to share some M21-1 information with you. Okay. So you understand this whole P&T thing. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so you can see I'm already in the M21-1, did a little bit of research. And what we're going to look at is permanent and total evaluations, okay? So we click on that, and here's some other information, total disability, permanent disabilities, requirements. Now we're not going to go through a lot of this stuff, okay? We're just going to maybe just scratch the surface a little bit because it is a lot. So total disability, scheduler or extra scheduler, that's a major tongue twister, evaluations of 100% under or by analogy to any DC. DC is diagnostic code, okay? A combined evaluation of 100% or a total evaluation on the basis of IU. That means individual unemployability. All right. Then permanent disability, right here, this is where I'm at, means disabling manifestations reasonably certain to continue throughout the lifetime of the individual. Okay. So mainly you'll see 100% when the rater says, hey, they're granting IU, they have to take issue with P&T. Okay. This right here, the granting dependent P&T without dependents, DEA, okay? That can happen, but the majority of the time you'll see in the rating decision when a veteran is a combined 100%, well, IU, they're taking issue with dependents, educational assistance, DEA. If you see that in the rating decision, that means you are what? P&T, TMP, whatever you want to call it, you're riding off into the sunset, okay? It's as simple as that. I'm not going to go too far in depth with this requirements here because you can be 100% and not be P&T. So, for example, convalescence, okay? 38 CFR 4.30, or I think it's what's the other one? 4.28? Yeah, 4.28, right? Yep, right here. And I have a video where I'm talking about these temporary 100%. 38 CFR 4.28 and 4.30. Raters, we call them paragraph 28 and paragraph 30. So if you go to my channel, you can look that up, okay? And here they give a quick example, okay? All right, veterans who are considered, let's just go through it. Permanent total, prior to assignment of 100% evaluation under a DC diagnostic code with a limited duration and future examination will be considered permanently disabled during the total evaluation. Now, duration in future examination. This is also known as routine future exams, RFE. I've seen veterans that are 100% not PNT because they have a routine future. That adjudicator is basically stating that they think the condition will improve. People don't worry about it. Guess what? I have not one, but I think I got two videos where I discuss RFEs in detail. And guess what? I'm talking about age 55 in that video as well. All right. So make sure you go and check it out. So here's more information in the M21. I'm not going to get into it. It is a lot. And I encourage people when you're filing claims, come to the M21-1, do keyword searches for different things. Like, for example, PTSD markers for military sexual trauma. Only use one or two keywords. This is not like, it's like Google in a way, but it's a little bit more sensitive. Okay. So normally when I come, I'll use one, maybe two keywords to narrow my search. Okay. But nonetheless, a lot of good information. Okay. They talk about the effective dates for PNT. I was trying to find PNT reasons for decision. Rating decisions establishing PNT status must provide the basis for the decision and a discussion of the evidence supporting the decision. Now, when I rate it and I use VVMS, I don't know if it's still like this. A lot of that was self-generated text for PNT once you took issue with it and you approved it. Okay. Um, I remember just putting in the effective date. Everything else, it was just basically self-generated text. And this is the system that we use, VVMS R system. Okay. Generated language for evaluating total disability service connection. Okay. That's what I just talked about. Okay. So you can come here and get a lot of information. Okay. And even here, granting PNT without DEA. All right. They discussed that. So again, people, a lot of good information. Just make sure you go out to the M21-1 and do your research. Okay. So the times that I saw veterans, oh, I'll give you one or two examples of when I saw veterans poke the bear and win. It was a veteran one time. Actually, it was a client of mine early on that was a Vietnam vet. And at the time, they didn't have blue water. He was Navy. They didn't have blue water. So he was off the coast of Vietnam. He filed a claim for diabetes, all right, which diabetes is on or in the 38 CFR, 38 CFR 3.309 subpart E, tropical diseases. I think I got that right. Okay. Diabetes. Now, if I take it a step further, I think they put it on that list May 2000 or May 2001. Okay. But you don't need to know all that. But anyway, he got denied because he didn't have boots on ground. He wasn't in Thailand. He wasn't in DMZ. He didn't do Operation Ranch Hand, all that stuff. But then the VA came out with blue water, and he was within 12 nautical miles of the shores of Vietnam. And the way that he confirmed that was the ship that he was on, the guns had a max range of 10 miles. Okay. So the VA conceded that. He came back in and filed another claim and got service connected for diabetes. Now, he was already 100% permanent total. And people may say, well, why would you do that? Because he said, hey, Dwayne, when I pass away, I know it's going to be for my diabetes. And I do not want there to be an issue when it comes that time for my wife to apply for DIC. He won his claim. Okay. Now, even after that, I asked him the question. I said, did they call you in for any other evaluations? Nope. Did they address any other conditions that you were already service connected for? Nope. And it leads me into the last topic of discussion. If you file a claim and you're 100%, will that rater go back and look at everything? And the answer is 99% of the time, No. When I rated it was not one single time, and I rated a few of these where veterans were 100% permanent total and they came in and filed something new. There was never not one time did I ever go back and look at everything. It wasn't a reason or regulation that states that I had to. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say you're 100% permanent total and you come in and you claim left knee secondary to your right knee. When you go to that C&P exam, they're going to have to look at that right knee. That's with any parent organ joint. Let's say you are at 30% under diagnostic code 5055 for the right knee replacement. Okay. You go to that C&P exam, you get a positive opinion. The examiner says, yes, the left knee is due to the right knee. And the adjudicator is looking at that C&P exam because in every joint exam, the question is posed to the examiner, has the veteran had an arthroplasty? I think that's the correct medical term, but a joint replacement. And the examiner says no. Well, the adjudicator and the VSR should have already looked at the previous code sheet when they requested that C&P exam to make sure you were already service connected for the right knee. They confirmed it. Yep. Boom. Go in. You get a positive opinion. They grant the left knee at 10%. But now they have to take issue with that right knee. Because guess what? You never had a knee replacement. You never had a knee replacement. This is just an example, folks. This is just an example. Now, me as a rater, I have to go back to that previous rating code sheet. Yep. It states veteran had a knee replacement. Look at the narrative decision, the narrative and the rating decision for that. Yep. The rater says they gave the convalescence, okay, for a knee replacement. And then now I'm digging. I go to the operative report. The operative report says what? You had a knee scope, not a knee replacement. So now I have to grant the left knee, and then I have to propose to sever the knee replacement, and then I have to take issue with proposing to reduce the right knee from 30% to the previous percentage. Let's say it's just 10%, down to 10%. Okay, with that being in mind, let's just say you were at even 95. Will your overall evaluation change? Take you down to 94%? Now we might be looking at taking away that chapter 35. Okay, but in this scenario, that veteran already knew before they filed a claim, poking the bear, that they did not have a knee replacement. So at that point, is it even smart to file a claim for the left knee secondary to right knee? Okay, I'm not saying not to, but leave me a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Now, here's another scenario. Same vet, service connected for that right knee replacement. But using the same example I gave you, the veteran didn't have a knee replacement. Okay. But this time, the veteran comes in and files a claim for PTSD. They're 100% permanent total. They file a claim for PTSD due to combat in Iraq. And it's on their DD 214 that they had boots on ground in Iraq. They got pre and post deployment exams showing Iraq. The veteran goes to the C&P exam, positive opinion. And looking at the C&P exam, the veteran wants a 70%. In this second scenario, am I going to go back and look at that right knee to see if they had a knee replacement? No. There's no regulation stating that I have to. And I wouldn't. Okay? Because if every rater went back and looked at every single thing that a veteran is service connected for, and they come in for a new claim and they are 100% permanent total, you wouldn't get it. You're contributing to the backlog. Okay, you're contributing to the backlog. There's no regulation that states the veteran's 100% PNT and they come in and do a new claim, depending on the condition. Remember the first example that I gave you. This is the YouTube myth. People are saying they go back and look at everything. So you're telling me you know what every single raider would or would not do. What I'm saying is what I've seen raiders on my team do and what I did as a raider in the VA regulation. There's no VA regulation that states I have to go back and look at everything. You got some veterans that are service connected for over 30 conditions. You're going to go back and look at every single one of those conditions to confirm, yep, they should be served. No. If it's not a paired extremity or a paired joint or something like that, that will cause me to go back and look at it, I'm not looking at it. But let me know your thoughts, okay? I think that is a huge YouTube myth. A lot of people are talking about it that never rated, okay? Now, I'm not saying sometimes raiders don't go back and look at stuff when a veteran is 100% PNT. I'm not saying that. I just gave you a couple of scenarios, okay? But to say that if you are 100% and you come in for a new claim, something you never claimed before, something new, tinnitus, and they're going to go back and look at everything, it's false, people. 99% of the times, no, it's not going to happen. I already gave you an example of when it could happen. But in that scenario about the knee replacement, the vet knew good and darn well that they never had a knee replacement and they didn't say anything about it. And they came in and they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. All right. So that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button. And as always, share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you. Don't be frustrated. Get educated.